Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a wood grain technique with both Bombay inks and alcohol inks. I'm not super experienced in these, but hopefully what I learned making them will help you. I used teakwood and latte alcohol inks. I base painted my cup with a flat 2x Rust-Oleum white spray paint. You could use universal white or Flippin' Awesome paint as well. I just used spray paint. So I'm just kind of drawing a line straight down the cup, and I'm using a 1-inch chip brush to go straight down with it. You don't want to go side to side. You want to make sure that that ink goes straight down the cup. And you just work your way around the cup. You're going to notice that there's going to be some white in between those stripes, which is fine because you're going to fill those in later with that color and another color. So I will say that I learned quite a lot because this is actually the first time I've used alcohol inks. I've never used them before. I know that they don't play well with crystal-like products, so I mean, I never did. But now I'm more interested in them, so I wanted to try to see what I could do. What I learned is that it's really pretty. I mean, the coloring is vibrant. I love the wood look that they give you. But I have also found that the alcohol inks are pretty temperamental. When I say that, you can't really play with them as much as you can the Bombay inks. Like I don't even know how to explain it. It's like if I go too much over it with my brush, it kind of takes away all of the ink underneath. If I just put ink at the bottom part instead of like a whole long stripe, then you're going to see those short lines, and you don't really want to see that because then it doesn't really look much like wood. You want it to look like the long planks. Also notice that when I get into my next color, they look good when the colors start to blend together, but later on when I do my knot technique, oh man, it's like super temperamental. You have to really work with it. Bombay inks are not like that. They're pretty easy to work with, and I don't have a lot of issues with them. But again, I really like the coloring that the alcohol inks give you. I think it's really, deep, pretty color. So I just put a couple lines on the bottom and use my brush to just brush it straight across. You can do a little bit more as far as like going in more than one direction when it comes to the bottom, and you're okay. It doesn't look bad. Also noticed that the alcohol inks like to collect in the crack of the bottom of that cup, which makes it a little bit harder to blend it. So just things that I noticed as I was doing it to pay close attention to if I use them again in the future for wood grain. So this is the other color. It's latte, and it has like a yellowy undertone, which you'll be able to see really well later on when I show you side-by-side video under the flashlight of my camera, which I don't mind it so much because it honestly gives me this mossy oak look that I really like. But it does have like a yellowy undertone to it. But you'll see as those two colors start to, connect with each other, it blends together. It really looks good. I like it. So I'm just going to go all the way around the cup, just making sure to cover all of my white, which again seems to be a little bit harder to do with alcohol inks than with the Bombay inks, because if you blend too much, then it's just going to take away the alcohol ink altogether. So you just got to play with it, but be gentle with the alcohol inks. Now, you might have seen different techniques of how to do wood grains on other videos. I'm not sure. I really haven't watched a whole lot of videos on this technique. I haven't really done a whole lot of wood grain cups. I've done a few for customers, but not a lot. And I I might do more now. I actually really, really like the alcohol ink. But if you're very new to wood grain and you want a surefire way that's simpler, that's not as temperamental, I'd definitely go with the Bombay inks. And then work your way up once you get comfortable with those. So you'll see there's still a little bit of white left in there that I'm going to have to cover up. And you'll notice in the crack how the ink kind of set in there. But you can, as it starts to dry, I mean, you can go back over it a little bit. You get a lot of depth with alcohol inks. Now I kind of want to go buy a whole bunch of colors and try like the marble inks on there. I mean, I do that now with paint, but I really want to try the alcohol inks now. So I think I'm going to buy some more. I only purchased the brown ones just so that I could do this tutorial for you guys and just so I could kind of practice with it. But you see there where when I put that ink there and it kind of pulled and then I pulled my brush down, it left like a circle. And so I'm trying to have to touch that up to fix it. That's what I mean by it's temperamental. Like it's really easy to do that. And my hand's falling asleep, so that was fun. But see how it pulled right there? And then when I pull my brush across it, it leaves like a circle. It kind of bleaches it if you put too much in one spot. So be careful with that. Sorry I go out of the camera a little bit. But it does look pretty neat. I don't like the pulling in the crack, but I'll have to fix that. These are just practice cups that I did this on just so that I could try to figure out the best way to do the technique. And, you know, troubleshoot because, you know, anytime you try something new, you're going to have issues that you're going to have to figure out as you go along. But I'm really digging those colors. I think the next time I did it, I would probably use maybe, I don't know, like a darker than that latte, just because it does have like a yellowy undertone, which is fine if, I mean, if you don't mind that. And like I said, it gives you a mossy oak type of look. And now I'm going to show you how I do my knots. Just touching up that area there. So I just use a smaller brush, and I don't think there's a size on it. Let me look. No, it doesn't really say. It's just a small brush. You can kind of use whatever size you want. And I just dip it into the ink, and then what I do is I put my brush down flat, and then I swirl it all the way around into a circle and then lift it up. And it leaves this kind of circular swirl knot look. You can see that there. Another thing I noticed about these two colors together is when I did the knots, it left this rust looking color. which is fine. I liked how it looked. It's pretty cool. But if you're not expecting that, you're going to be like, what in the world is this? So just giving you a heads up. So again, I just put my brush down flat and I swirl it around in a circle and then lift it up. And it was a little bit more difficult to do that technique with these alcohol inks because when you swirl that brush, it tends to want to take up every bit of alcohol ink underneath it. So I had to be really careful with that. And if you have different ways that you do your knots, different techniques that you use, feel free to leave comments below the video and let me know how you do yours. See, that one was a hot mess, so I had to work with it. But it turned out pretty good. I mean, obviously they don't have to be perfect. When have you ever seen a tree knot that was? You want it to look natural. I think sometimes when we're working on cups and something happens that we're not expecting, we think, oh my gosh, it's ruined. And it's not. You just have to just take a breath and look at it and work with it and take your time and be patient. So let it dry for 24 hours and then you're going to seal with a clear spray paint. You definitely want to let it dry for 24 hours. I tried this on a different cup before this video and I had to restart the whole video because I sprayed it immediately after finishing and it turned the whole thing green. So lesson learned for me, wait 24 hours. Now we're moving on to the Bombay inks. I'm using Van Dyke Brown and regular brown and you'll see that these inks go on a lot easier. I mean, they don't blend and give you the depth and texture look that the alcohol inks give you, but it still makes for a really nice wood grain effect. So I just put the dropper at the top and let it drip down. And then I use my brush and go straight down just like I did on the other one. Again, I'm using that chip brush. Excuse me. Personally, I don't think you can go wrong using Bombay inks or alcohol inks. Both of them give a really beautiful wood grain look. This one is a lot less temperamental. The Bombay inks, it's a lot easier to work with, and so for that reason, I tend to like it. I like easier and quicker. So I'm just going to continue to brush straight down all the way around the cup. There's going to be some white spots left, which is perfectly fine because we're going to go back in with the regular brown and fill those in. The reason you want to use two different colors is because you want there to be some depth to it. If you just do one color, I just feel like it's going to look kind of plain. It looks more like wood grain if you use two different colors. You can use more than two if you want. You can also do the same thing with gray and black, white and black. You can do any kind of colored wood grain. I did a blue wood grain one time. I also did a gray. I have a gray wood grain men's engagement cup in my Etsy shop. I chose gray because it matched the, oof, I made a mess there. It matched the decal that I put on it. And it turned out pretty good. Now, sometimes you'll notice when you're putting the Bombay inks on, if you put too much on it, as you brush it over, when you go back around turning your cup looking at it, it'll kind of bead up a little bit because there's just too much on it. Not a big deal. Just use your brush and brush over it and just thin it out. So looking at this video right now, and I'm looking at the cup turning over to my right, it got darker, the Bombay inks, as it dried, and it is gorgeous. And now I'll do the bottom. Just put my little stripes of ink across the bottom. Now what I'm doing is I'm kind of going back through and putting some of the darker Bombay ink and trying to blend that a little bit just because I just felt like it needed more depth. But like I said, this is something that you want to just kind of take your time with and check it out and see, you know, if you like it, and if you don't, all right, well, let's try to add something a little bit more to it and until you like it. Sorry about that. My kids are in the background talking and my dryer's going off. Welcome to my life. And I'm doing the same thing for my knots that I did with the other. Now here you'll notice that it kind of made it white because I just took all the ink off. I didn't really let this dry long enough before I did it. So guess what? I'm just going to brush right back over it. Look at it. Covered it right up. You're not going to do that with the alcohol ink. It's a lot more temperamental. I should probably like have a game on my tutorials for how many times I said too temperamental on here. I apologize. I know that's annoying. But anyhow, my point is let it dry just a little bit before you try to do the knots in it because it's harder to do if you don't. This side was a little bit drier, so it's not pulling it up. And I'm also being a little bit lighter with my brush here. But you can see there's just like a little bit of a swirl there. As it dries, it'll dry a little bit darker, and it'll look more like a knot. There we go. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't look good, you just brush right back over it and try it again. There we go. And there you go. So hopefully that's helpful and makes sense. If you have questions, be sure to leave comments and let me know. You're going to let that dry overnight. You could move on after 4 hours. I personally like to wait overnight before I start BT. You don't need to seal Bombay inks. So side by side, this is the 2 cups with my camera flash on. You can see that yellow look undertone. I did not spray this with anything. That's just the color of those 2 alcohol inks together. You can see the knots better on there. And I mean, that's with a bright light shining on it. Also, here in just a second, I'm going to show you what it looks like without a light shining on it to give you a better idea of natural light, how it will look. And that's it with no flash. So, I mean, I think that I just get the biggest mossy oak vibes from that cup, and I'm digging it. But, you know, I might have to say that I actually think I like the Bombay inks better. I don't know. What do you guys think? Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Follow me check out the bio. All of my social media links are on there. And thanks for watching.